Hi, it's been a little while since I recorded a book review, so today I'm recording a double book review. I don't know if this is going to end up on social media because I think it's probably going to get too long, but yeah, we shall see about that. And this is the first time I'm recording a video at home, and since I've had a new addition into my home, so it's potentially that my cat, Jagger, may well appear at some point, but we'll see if he's curious or not about what's going on, and I'm sure, yeah, he probably will be. So it's going to be fiction and non-fiction. The fiction book I finished probably about a week or so ago, so hopefully I kind of remember, and that's Saving Jim Thunder by Nick. So sorry, Nick, I don't know if I could pronounce the surname right, but is Zoji. And the other one, the non-fiction one, is this one, Jimmy Carr Before and Laughter, the hilarious guide to changing your life. So the first one, Saving Jim Thunder, the fiction book, I actually got offered it via TikTok. Nick, the writer, actually kindly messaged me and asked me if I would be interested to read a copy of his book, and he said it was historical fiction, so I was a bit like, well, I'm not typically a historical fiction type of person, however I'm quite willing to give it a go and see how it goes. So yeah, he kindly sent me a copy of his book, Saving Jim Thunder. Of course it was a PDF, hence why I haven't got a copy of the book to show you. So basically the premise of that book, excuse me, I've actually made notes this time. There's a main character who basically gets into a car accident, and then after this car accident she ends up seeing an advert for a time travel experiment. So straight away that kind of made it more accessible for me, because that kind of sci-fi aspect of it, the time travel thing, did make me want to kind of see where it went from there. But anyway, so this time travel thing, the main character ends up doing, it leads her to ending up in 1922, and ending up coming across this young indigenous boy who's really ill, and he's trying to fight injustice. Basically, he's run away from a residential school in Canada, and he's trying to get back to his family, and she's come across him and is trying to help him. It's a really, I actually did end up reading the whole thing, and I did enjoy the book. It's not something, a part of history that I am really aware of, or I wasn't until I read this book about residential schools in Canada, but you could tell definitely that the writer had done his research, and I know, because I've seen on TikTok as well, that he actually spoke to victims as well to make the book more realistic, and it did feel quite realistic, and it was very emotional, and kind of in places made you angry and other places made you sad. So although it wouldn't be a book I would normally probably pick off the shelf necessarily, I'm still glad I read it, because it certainly enlightened something I didn't know about, and it definitely did stir up various emotions. So powerful writing. So that's Saving Jim Thunder. So that one's pretty cool if you come across that. And so the Jimmy Carr one, surprisingly, it's not like an autobiography or about his life or anything like that. it's actually kind of a self-help book, and for the most part I thought it was actually a really good self-help book, because there were little bits in it I didn't quite agree with what he was saying, but actually the vast majority I did kind of totally see what he was saying, and there was lots of bits that I kind of made a note of, which was really good advice. And it didn't really feel like a typical self-help book, because it felt more like maybe a friend giving you advice, but you know, one of those friends that will give you real advice, not like just be like, oh well darling, do this and do that, but you know, actually proper would be like, oh well, you know, that's a stupid thing to do, but here's another suggestion, kind of thing. And of course there was some silly jokes amongst it as well, which, you know, did lighten it up a bit, but it wasn't particularly heavy reading, to be fair, and there was loads of good advice actually. Yeah, loads more notes. Things like, I think a lot of these he kind of learned from doing comedy. For example, all failure is just feedback, and that from that feedback then you can just refine like a comedian does. If it doesn't work, then you change it. So yeah, there was loads of kind of little tidbits like that. There was also there was a little bit of autobiographical stuff that was quite interesting. Like he writes about his friendship he had with Stephen Hawking, which was quite surprising, but also really interesting to read. He also did talk about his whole tax avoidance situation that he was in, and also did highlight some of the jokes that he's made that have been, yeah, maybe a little bit more on the harsher side, but a lot of the time it's been kind of taken out of context. And reading it overall, I don't get the impression that he's actually, you know, an arsehole. He seems to be pretty, you know, open-minded and, you know, open to people. So I didn't kind of get the impression that he really is, you know, not very nice. And he wasn't trying to be like, you know, oh, feel sorry for me about the tax avoidance thing either. He was kind of owning up to his mistakes. So yeah, actually this might just be long enough, just short enough for social media, because I'm going to end it there. But yeah, both pretty good books. Saving Jim Thunder and Before and Laughter by Jimmy Carr, both good books. So let me know in the comments if you've checked out either of those yourself and what you made of them. And I will see you again soon, hopefully. And yeah, happy reading.